So, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Whether we're on here for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's kind of up to you guys. But yesterday, and I apologize, I meant to do this right away, put it to PDF. I changed it to PDF, but I forgot to replace it. So let's go ahead and pull up. Oh man, some of you guys probably didn't get the chapter 1 review either, did you? Because it's a doc, not a PDF. Let me change that to a PDF real quick, and I'll repost it. All right, PDF. All right, let me repost it just in case you couldn't do this. Give me about 30 seconds here, and it'll be up and ready to go. All right, my fault. Nobody brought it to my attention, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Uh-oh. So I know most people can't see it as a Word document. Uh-oh. I got the same thing on there twice. That's not what I wanted. I didn't save. Let me try it again. Save as. There we go. Oh, can't be exported. All right, well, we'll just have to make do with this. So, all right, number 1, and I'm just gonna walk you guys through this the entire time here. That's it. If you have questions, let me know. By the way, I saw Abraham and Teodoro get in and Lisbeth. Gotcha. All right, so number 1, while we're going through this, the very first thing I see is that my y-intercept, and I know that's difficult to see, my y-intercept is +6, and my slope looks like it crosses right here. So it looks like my slope is down 2 over 3, so -2/3 x plus 6, so your answer should be C. Again, if you have any questions or you want to see it, let me know. By the way, on the quiz, it's going to give you guys 2 points. Let me do something else. I want to share screen again. Sorry, clicked the wrong button. Let me get out of here. So on the screen, it's going to give you something like this. Here's your graph, and it's going to say, here's the point, like, it's going to say this is the point like 411 or 412, and this is the point like 2020, and it's going to say write an equation. So if it says write an equation, you have to find the slope. Somebody unmute yourself. How do I find the slope?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Perfect. So I will do 20 minus 12 over 20 minus 4, which gives me 8 over 16. So my slope is 1/2. It says write the equation. So I can choose either one of these points. It doesn't really matter which one. And I can either use this equation, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. So y minus your y value equals your m times the quantity of x minus your x value. You can either do that or just plug it into y equals mx plus b. However, you're still going to have to distribute the fraction. So y minus 12 equals 1/2 x minus 2, and then add 12. By the way, so yesterday, the accelerated class, they took the quiz. They made a lot of little mistakes as a group, and I will address some of those mistakes. They left a space in between the fraction and the x. Don't leave a space. It has to be 1/2 right next to the x. All right. Now, the next part it's going to say is find the value of x when y equals 30. Something like this. Now, we've done this. It's just been a while. It's been already about 2 weeks. All you have to do is plug in 30 for y and solve for x. So if y is 30, solve for x. Subtract 10. So I have 20 equals 1/2 x. By the way, and I saw this on the accelerated quiz. There were not very many, but a handful, 4 or 5 people that missed this because they just went too fast. How do I do this, and what's the answer? Anybody want to take a risk?
Don't you like multiply by the reciprocal?
That's exactly right. So multiply by the reciprocal. You always divide by a coefficient, but when you divide by a fraction, so you could type that in your calculator. Whenever you're dividing by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal 1/2 is just 2, so x would equal 40. Most people glanced at that and said x would equal 10. But again, if I plug that in, 1/2 of 10 is only 5. 1/2 of 40 is 20. So, and there's no rule tomorrow about using your calculator. Use your calculator, use your notes, look back at your notes, look back at some of the stuff. So everything we've got up there, use your tools. You're only going to have 24 hours to take the quiz. Any questions there?
Wait,
Yeah.
but wouldn't the equation be, oh wait, sorry, I just saw it. Never mind.
Yeah, there's your equation, but then the second part was find x when y is 30. Now, a lot of people made a mistake. So I had about 12 out of 90 kids. I had about 12 missed this problem. And most of them missed it because of either this reason. They said 20 equals 1/2 x. They said it was 10, which is wrong. The other half plugged in 30 for x and multiplied right here instead of plugging it in for y. So all of those mistakes were just kind of silly mistakes. I don't want you guys to do the same thing. All right, so that's number 1. All right, let's see if we can pull that back up. Oh, where is it? There it is. Oh, that's the solutions. I've got too many screens. I need a second computer. Should put that on my wish list. All right, so let's do number 2. Identify the graph. So this is multiple choice. Not all of your answers will be multiple choice. It's going to be fill in the blank. This one was multiple choice. So identify the graph and describe the transformation. So first of all, that -3 is outside the absolute value. So how does that shift it? It's either up, down, left, or right 3, and it's outside the absolute value. So what do we think?
Down 3.
Good. It's just down 3. So remember, if this is the parent function, that would start at the origin. So if it's outside, it's going to be up or down. Because it's minus, it's down 3. So D had to be your answer here. If it's inside the absolute value happening to X, that's when you do the opposite. We'll go back over those rules here in just a second. I think we've got a couple more of these. So this one, The one in black is your parent function. The one in blue is the transformation. So let's describe it real quick. So y equals 1/4 times the absolute value. First of all, is that a stretch or a compression or a shrink?
And that's a stretch.
It's not a stretch, it's a shrink because this is making it smaller. And that's the best way to think about this. That 1/4 is less than 1, so it's making it smaller, so it's shrinking it. Now the numbers there make more sense. But if it's being shrunk, that means it's going to be wider. It's going to have a slope of up 1/4. So either A or C has to be the answer. It didn't get steeper, it got wider. So both of these graphs look right. My slope is up 1/4 both ways. So what's the difference? The description. A says the graph of G is a vertical stretch, and C says the graph of G is a vertical shrink. So your answer for number 3 is C. Again, when we're done with this, I want you guys to go back and kind of look at your notes on this, look at some of the videos, look at whatever, make sure you understand what's going on. And part of the reason we're doing that, why this part isn't that important, we start off on chapter 2 with the exact same thing, except for its quadratics, it's going to be parabolas instead of absolute values. And then we're only going to spend a little bit of time on it, not like this one. So on number 4, I'm going to go through and describe this. So it is a shift right 2, up 3, and a vertical stretch by a factor of 3. So the vertex had to move right 2, up 3, and then a vertical shift of 3. Well, that's out because that moved left 2. This is out because it moved left 2, so it had to be one of these two. Right away, I see that this opens down. What would cause it to open down?
A -3?
Exactly. If it were negative, any value for A that is negative would cause it to open down. So this is the only one, sorry. Yeah, so C is the only one that has moved right 2, up 3, and it's been stretched, and it's opening up. Questions there? We will go over those rules again right after this one, after actually number 6. Write a function whose graph represents the indicated transformation. So 4 units right, followed by a reflection in the x-axis. So 4 units right, followed by a reflection in the x-axis. 4 units right, which one is that going to be? Would it be inside the absolute value or outside?
Inside?
Right, that's correct. So that means C and B are out. So I've got either A or D. It has to be reflected in the x-axis, which means your only answer there is A. So that A value has to be negative. Let me see something real quick. Yeah. Number 6. Write a function whose graph represents the indicated transformation. Let's see. My vertex moved left 3. So if it has a vertex at -3, 1, remember left to right is going to be the opposite with x. So I know it has to be x plus 3 in the absolute values. Up 1's on the outside. Okay, and it opens down, which means A has to be negative. So left 3 would be x plus 3, has to be negative plus 1, so your answer is B. Any questions? Hopefully you guys, and this shouldn't have taken too long, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Any questions on that? All right. So number 7, we have a 2-mile Uber ride costs $5.50. And a 5-mile ride costs $10.75. So $5.50. Let me do this again. So it was a, what was it? 2-mile ride cost $5.50. So there's miles. 2-mile ride costs $5.50. What was the other one? Anybody remember?
It was 5-mile Uber ride costs $10.75.
Okay. And what was the question at the very end?
If the cost of an Uber ride is linear, find an equation and use it to predict the cost of a 10-mile Uber ride.
So 10. So we want to know the 10-mile ride. All right. So practical application. Find your slope. 1075 minus 550. It's going to give me 525, and 5 minus 2. It's going to give me 3. Now I can go ahead and do the math here. 525 divided by 3. It's $1.75. So what does it mean in the context of this problem? It costs $1.75 per mile. Pick a point and plug it back in. So again, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1, or y equals mx plus b. If I do y equals m x plus b, now I can find my y-intercept. By the way, if anybody's ever taken Uber, they actually do this. They charge you a fee just to pick you up, and then they charge by the mile. So 175 times 2 is 350. So if I subtract 350 from both sides, must not have been surging. So your y-intercept is $2. Your equation is this. Y equals 1.75x plus 2. This means they cost you $2 to pick you up and $1.75 per mile. It says, I want to know the price of a 10-mile ride. Well, 10-mile ride, I would just plug it in for x because that's your number of miles. So y equals 1.75 times 10 plus 2, which is 1750 plus 2. And your cost would be $19.50. Any questions?
So in the actual problem itself, it never talked about having like, I didn't see any talk about having like a flat fee in addition to like per mile.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it still in like the end answer?
Okay, because you didn't have to, it might not have talked about it, but it did say if it's linear. So if it goes in a straight line. Well, it doesn't start at 0, 0, and we know that right away because 2 miles cost us $5.50 and 5 cost us $10.75. So if it were just, if it started at 0, if it didn't say they picked you up and it didn't cost to pick you up, then I know right away that it would be $2.75 per mile if it was just charging per mile. But over here, $2.75 per mile doesn't work. That'd be way more expensive. So whether it says it or not, you guys have to, when anytime they give you two different, like here's a mileage and here's a price, here's a mileage and a price, you have to go through and find what your y-intercept is. So it never had to mention that, and that's part of it. Okay. Again, I don't know if Big Ideas is going to ask you the same question, but this was a quiz from like 3 years ago that we used to give. So if this is true and this is true, then what would the cost be for a 10-mile ride? So it didn't really even need to mention that pickup fee because it's already accounted for with this data. Does that make sense? I know it's not a great answer, but
Yeah, that makes more sense. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, let's go over this before we do the linear regression. Let's do this one more time. So let's talk about this. If this is that's my absolute value. If A is negative, so if A is negative, what would a negative value for A do? So if I had this, what does this do?
Reflects it across the x-axis.
Right, that's exactly correct. So what that does is it opens it upside down or reflects it across the x-axis. Now, positive or negative, if it's positive, it has to open up. And remember, absolute values make V's. So the next one is, before I do anything else, what if I have something like this? What's that 3 do? Stretch it or shrink it?
Does it stretch it?
It does because it's greater than 1. And by greater than 1, remember, that means it kind of acts like a slope. So all of a sudden, my y-intercept is still here. My vertex is here. I'd go up 1, 2, 3, run both ways 1. Go up 1, 2, 3, run both ways 1. So that's what that would look like. Now, if it were negative, it's still a stretch, but now instead of going up, now I go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So if it were negative, it's still a stretch. Okay? Now in blue, if I have something like 1/2 absolute value of x, now what that's going to do, my vertex is still here, goes up 1 over 2. So that 1/2 is making everything smaller. So it is shrinking it. It's going up 1 and over 2. By shrinking it, it's really going to be wider. That's the part that's kind of counterintuitive. The math makes sense. That 1/2 is making something smaller, so it's a shrink. But when you make it smaller, when it's shrunk, it actually gets wider. All right, last thing real quick with this part is this is standard form. Your vertex is always, notice how it's negative h in here and positive h here. Your vertex is hk. So for instance, if I have this, everything with x moves it left or right, that moves it up or down. So what's my vertex here? How has this been shifted? Left or right? 2. I need more volunteers. No one?
Right too.
Thank you. And your k value is positive 1, so then it's going to be up 1. Your vertex, it would just start at the point 2, 1. Again, this is something that you absolutely have to know, especially because next week, we're only going to spend 1 day on this stuff. What if I do this one? How's this moving?
To the left
Left 3
and down 5.
and down 5. -3, -5. So notice it's always the opposite of what's happening to x. Always the opposite of what's happening to x. The k value stays the same. Real simple. You just have to study it. All right. Let's look at this again. I think we've got what, 2 left? Plenty of time to do this. All right, and this was all multiple choice. So the very first thing I want you guys to see is we have 2 shirt companies. We've done like 2 examples like this already. The first one, Shirt Custom, is 8x plus 50. So it's a setup fee and it's charged per shirt. So right now with Shirt Custom, what does this mean? The total cost is Y, where X is number of shirts made. So that means it's $8 per shirt, and that 50 is the setup charge. By the way, you can do this 100% on your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this real quick. Sorry, I can't see my own calculator here. I'm going to pin this. All right. So I can put this data in my stats right away. Edit. Remember, you hit clear and down, clear and down. Tomorrow, I cannot help you guys with your calculator functions. You'll have to go back and watch the video. So let's enter the data. 10, 20. I did not have to do it this way, by the way. 30, 40, 50. Over here, I have 98, 183, 268, 353, 438. Now I can hit stat again. I could have done this by hand, but I'll hit stat again. I will calculate, and I want the linear regression. That means it's perfectly linear, strong positive correlation, it's a perfect linear regression. And my equation is y equals 8.5x plus 13. So what does that mean in this equation? It means it costs $8.50 per shirt and only $13 to set up. So let's look at this. Which company initially charges less per shirt? Well, Shirt Custom charges less per shirt because they only charge $8 per shirt. Express charges $8.50 per shirt. How many shirts must be ordered before the cost, oops, that's misworded, for the cost to be the same? If we want the cost to be the same, I set the 2 equations equal to each other. By the way, I could do this with my calculator, and I'll show you how. So I want to import that. So vars, statistics, equation, there we go. And the other one was just 8x plus 50. I can go ahead and graph. Oh boy, I don't see anything like that. So I want to zoom 9. Let's see if they intersect now. Oh, still I don't see an intersection point. So guess what? I need to move my window, my X max, I need to see further right. I can change it to whatever I want to see. It doesn't really matter. I changed it to 100. Let's graph it now. I just want to make sure that these 2 lines actually intersect. Ooh, I don't even think they intersect at 100, so let's change it again. Let's go to 200. Maybe not even 200, so let's do something ridiculous. Let's change it to like 500. All I want to do is make sure that they intersect. So now I can hit second calculate. Oh, still thinking. Second calculate. And I want to find the point where those 2 lines intersect. First curve, just hit enter. Second curve, enter, guess. And the intersection is right there. When X is 74, My Y is 642. What that means is if I ordered 74 shirts, the cost would be $642. So I can go back and answer this. 74 shirts, it would cost $642. But which one charges less per shirt initially? And it is shirt custom. So my answer for this is B. Now your calculator part's not going to be that difficult on here. Number 9, make sure you can do this. I'm going to show you one last time. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my data. How do I do that? Stat edit. Clear down, enter all the data. So I've got 39, 44, 31, 49, 36, 40, 29, 33, 46, 44. Sorry, 171, 184, 152, 196, 163, 175, 142, 152, 186, 183. All right, so make sure that these line up. I haven't made any silly mistakes. These all have 2 digits. These all have 3. It's stat. Now I want to calculate my linear regression. Number 4, enter all the way through. My equation is y equals 2.6x plus 68.6. Let's see, 2.6x plus 68.6. So it either has to be C or D right now. Both of those are pretty good. C looks a little better. In fact, that's just a rounding mistake. But let's look at this again. The second one is estimate the height. So I'm estimating y when x is 38. Well, remember, I can hit y equals, clear everything here, make sure your stat plot's on. To insert the equation, I want variables. What am I trying to insert? Statistics. Go over to equations. There we go. Second, table setup. And I want to know when it's 38. So second graph, when it's 38, it'd be 167.54. So again, the big point there is about rounding, but this is your better answer. C is your better answer. Any questions? At all? Okay, so tomorrow when you guys log on, you do not have to be on very long. You have to get on and you have to show me that you can actually get on to Big Ideas quiz. By show me, do not get off of it tomorrow until you guys have the quiz pulled up. Now, I'm providing you guys the entire class time to do your quiz. Might take you 10 minutes, might take you 40 minutes. I don't really know. That's why I'm giving you guys the whole class period. Once you're logged on and you've got it, I can only ask questions helping you guys understand what the question is saying. I cannot help you with the calculator piece, and I cannot help you with the setup or anything else. Remember, it's only 10 points. Counts the same as a homework. I just can't help you, and you can't check your answer. All right? So no need to really be stressed, but I do want to understand and want to emphasize you guys are responsible for knowing this stuff. You got to know your calculator. Any questions before I let you go?
How many questions is the quiz?
It's either 8 or 10. I need to go back and look at it. It's not very many, but it's, yeah, 8 to 10 questions. Okay? Any other questions at all? Then you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.